welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. If you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend you listen to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. I've also set up a Facebook group for us to connect and to support each other, and I'd love for you to join me over at Elements of Ayurveda podcast group. And now, here's the show. Before we start the show, I have a very big announcement. The Elements of Ayurveda podcast turns 1 year old on August 10th. And to celebrate, I'm holding a big competition with a chance to win one of 4 prizes. The first prize is entry into my Digestive Reset Cleanse. The next seasonal online group cleanse starts September 27th. The second prize will be an in-depth 90-minute online consultation with me. The third prize will be entry into my Daily Habits for Holistic Health courses, a 4-week online course helping you implement all those dinacharya, those daily habits in line with the circadian rhythms. And the final prize is from our friends at Banyan Botanicals. It will be a bundle of products which are specific for your dosha. So to enter the competition, head on over to my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. Also, just click on the link in the show notes and you can enter as many times as you want in the month previous. So from July 10th to August 9th, and then I will be announcing the winners on the anniversary episode. Now, for the anniversary episode of the podcast, I want to hear from you. I would love to hear your feedback on what your thoughts about the show, feedback if you've gone through any of my courses, the cleanses, the Daily Habits course, or if you've done an online consultation with me, or if you're just a listener to the podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback, and maybe use your voice on that anniversary episode. To record your voice, you can go to my website, and on the footer of each page of my website, you'll see a little box that says send a voice message to Colette, and you can record your voice there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I love to hear your messages, and it really helps me keep going as I hear how this show affects the people out there listening. So for that special anniversary episode, I'm going to be using snippets of this feedback from these voice recordings. So please head on over there, just scroll down to the footer of each page of my website. You'll find that little box. It's very simple. You just hit start recording, and then there's a stop button and a send button, and that's it. So I'd love to hear your voice. If you want to be featured on that special anniversary episode, please go ahead and send your message and leave your thoughts. Okay, now let's get on with the show. Hello and welcome to Elements of Ayurveda. So today I'm going to delve deep with you into the 3 bodies and the 5 koshas according to Ayurveda. So we have touched on these in past episodes, but I thought it was time to really uncover these layers of ourselves. And that's what we're going to do today. As the Ayurvedic motto goes, we're going to introduce yourself to yourself. Now, you've often heard me say that Ayurveda is a journey of self-realization. And it starts with understanding your unique constitution or your mind-body type, and bringing your mind and body into balance so that awareness can enter. I've said that many times throughout the previous episodes, but today I want you to understand this journey through the layers, through the koshas of our body according to Ayurveda. So we're really going to delve deep into the understanding of our true self, our true nature. Now, first of all, I want to cover the 3 bodies of Ayurveda. So Ayurveda teaches us that we're comprised of the physical body, the subtle body, and the causal body. The physical body is the body we see, the organs, the tissues. It's through this physical body that we stay in touch with our outer world. So we have our 5 senses, which take in information from the outside world, and then in turn direct the organs of actions, the hands, the legs, the speech, to react accordingly. The physical body is limited by time and space. Now, when the self or the soul identifies with the physical body, it manifests itself as the waker. So I'm going to come back to that in a moment, but just for now, know that the physical body is associated with the waking stage or manifests itself as the waker. I'll come back and explain that in a moment. But before I do that, let's talk about the next body, which is the subtle body. The subtle body represents the energetic field behind the physical body, the emotional, the mental energy. Now, unlike the physical body, at this level, there are no limitations of time and space. When the true self or the soul identifies with the subtle body, it manifests as the dreamer. So the subtle body is associated with the dreaming stage. And then the final one, the causal body, this is considered to be the cosmic intellect, the seed potential of all the bodies. Here I want you to think about apple seed, that tiny little apple seed, which just doesn't look very impressive when we see an apple seed. However, we know that the potential of that seed, given enough water and enough light and enough food, that it will grow into this magnificent apple tree and bear fruit. We have the same potential inside of us. It is the subtlest medium inside and around the body. There's no fear or apprehension in the causal body. At this level, the true self or the soul manifests as a deep sleeper. So the deep sleep stage is associated with the causal body. So just to review, the 3 bodies, according to Ayurveda, are the physical, the subtle, and the causal. Now we see that from these 3 bodies, there were different stages. In fact, there's 4 stages. The waking stage, which was associated with the physical body. And this is where most of us are most of the time. We're in the physical world. We're concerned with our body. Then the next stage is the dreaming stage, which is associated with the subtle body. We experience this stage in our dreams and while experiencing strong emotions or perhaps inspiration. But we're not usually conscious of this stage. The next stage is the deep sleep stage, which is associated with the causal body. And we can access this stage in deep meditation and sometimes in deep sleep. So this is when we really go to a place of quietness. We quiet the body, we quiet the mind, and we can really access that deep sleep stage. Finally, the final stage is the stage of enlightenment or of utmost consciousness. So those are the 4 stages: the waking stage, the dreaming stage, the deep sleep stage, and then the stage of enlightenment, of utmost consciousness. Now, as I said a moment ago, we live mostly in the first 2 stages of waking and dreaming. And sometimes we access the deep sleep stage. In living in these first 2 or 3 stages, Ayurveda explains that our pendulum swings wildly from one emotion to another, and therefore it's not possible for us to achieve bliss or consciousness when we're going back and forth between these stages. Ayurveda teaches us that we must understand the 5 layers or koshas, sometimes they're called sheaths, of the body that cover the true self or the soul. And we're going to discuss that now. Our journey of self-realization is to work on and peel back these layers so that we can uncover our true selves and in turn discover our soul, which is very different from the waker and the dreamer and the deep sleeper. So are you ready? We're going to delve even deeper. So we've already discussed the 3 bodies: the physical, which is our anatomy; the subtle body, which is our mental, emotional; body, and then the causal, which is our seed potential. And these are further broken down into the 5 koshas, or the 5 layers, which I just mentioned. This is where we will get the clarity of how to begin our journey. So the 5 koshas are the 5 layers of the body which cover our seed potential, or our true self, our Atman, our soul. The koshas can be imagined as layers of an onion which surround our true self, our consciousness, and our awareness. So Ayurveda and yoga help us to peel back these layers so that we can discover our true nature, our true seed potential, our true self. So now let's go through the journey of the 5 koshas, or the 5 layers. And these layers of the body go from gross to subtle. So the grossest layer, the first one, is Annamaya kosha. The next one is Pranamaya kosha. The third layer is Manomaya kosha. The next one is Gyanamaya kosha, also known as Vijnayanamaya kosha. And the last one is Anandamaya kosha. And please excuse me if my pronunciation of the Sanskrit is not good. So let's go through the first one. Annamaya kosha is the outermost layer, or the physical body. It's our anatomy. This layer consists of the bones, the muscles, the tissues, the organs. It's the physical body that we discussed earlier. It's also called the food layer because it emerges from food. We are a result of the food our parents ate, and while we were in the womb, our mother's womb, we grew from the food our mother ate, and after birth, we are what we eat, or in Ayurveda says we are what we digest and continue to grow, and what we eat determines the health of our body and our mind. And as I said, this is the grossest of all the 5 layers, and it is limited by time and space. So if we were to put this kosha into the 3 bodies we discussed earlier, the Annamaya kosha would be in the physical body, which is obvious. Now, addressing this kosha, for us to address this on our journey to discover our true nature, our seed potential, we need to start with understanding our unique mind-body type, our birth constitution, and starting to study ourselves. As we said earlier, introducing yourself to yourself by studying Ayurveda, by studying your constitution and learning how to bring your body and mind into balance. So this for me is how we can start going from the grossest layer to the most subtle layer. We need, first of all, to start with ourselves, to understand ourselves first, to do that self-study. And then once we understand ourselves, then we can move on, peel back that layer. So as we're studying, as we're understanding our mind-body type, understanding our needs, our imbalances, how we should live, what's the right lifestyle for us, what's the right food, what's the right exercise, what's the right routine for us. We start to peel back that layer, and then we discover that there's another layer, and that next layer is the Pranamaya kosha, or the vital body. And this is basically our physiology. This layer is also known as the vital air or breath layer. And it is the flow of prana, or life force, in the body. Now, this prana flows through the nadis. The nadis are the energy channels of the body. And then, of course, we have the chakras, which are the energy vortexes. This kosha is responsible for the functional governance of each structure and is associated with the 5 physiological systems of the body. That is the nervous system, the digestive system, the circulatory system, the excretory system, and the respiratory system. So this layer regulates the previous kosha, the Annamaya kosha, in that the systems regulate the physical body. This layer goes beyond the boundaries of the physical body. Therefore, we would categorize the Pranamaya kosha in the subtle body. So in those 3 bodies that we discussed earlier, the physical, the subtle, and the causal, the Pranamaya kosha belongs in the subtle body. Now, how do we address this kosha? So once we have that understanding of our birth constitution, we've gone through the previous layer. What's next on our journey? So we address this kosha with breath work, or what's called pranayama, and yoga, which activates the nadis, or the energy channels that we just spoke about, so that prana can flow around the body. And along with this prana, we start to activate our awareness, our consciousness also. We address this kosha by making sure that also the physiological systems are working efficiently, in that with our breath work, with our pranayama, yoga, and regular cleansing, with our dinacharya, our self-care practices, and living the correct routine and lifestyle for our mind-body type, we can bring the digestive system, the excretory system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, and the nervous system into balance through these practices, through the yoga, the pranayama, the cleansing, the dinacharya. So that's the next layer. And then once we have those systems in balance, once we understand and we have a system of self-care practices in place, and we have our mindfulness practices in place, then we can move on to the next layer. And the next one is the manomaya kosha. It's the third layer, or the mental layer as it's called. So it's to do with our psychology. Now, the mental emotional sheath is the junction between the two layers before and the two layers afterwards. So the manomaya kosha represents the continuous flow of emotions, and it regulates the previous layer, the pranamaya kosha. So think about how our emotions can affect our breathing, our nervous system, and our digestive system. So this layer of our psychology affects the previous dosha, all those systems of the body. This layer can make contact with distant realms in their dreaming state. It works in the realm of the known, because we usually draw on past experiences. When we think back to the three bodies of the physical, the subtle, and the causal, we can imagine that this kosha belongs to the subtle body. Now we can address this layer with meditation and pranayama. Meditation gives us the opportunity to be still, to transcend our thoughts, and to really access this layer, to uncover those emotions and to look at those emotions and what's going on inside. If we're constantly busy, if we're constantly entertaining ourselves, we don't get an opportunity, we don't get the quietness or stillness to really check in with what's going on in our mind, what's going on in our emotions, what's going on in that mental layer. So meditation can really help, and so too can pranayama or breath work, which allows that prana to flow into the mind, and this uncovers the past experiences holding us back from moving forward on our path. So we all obviously have past experiences, maybe belief systems that hold us back. But through meditation and through pranayama, with allowing this prana this awareness to flow through the nadis, to flow into the mind, we can start to now uncover what's holding me back? How am I sabotaging myself? What belief systems do I have that are holding me back from uncovering my true nature, my seed potential? And then and allowing us to move forward on our path. And once we transcend these obstacles, we can then move on to the next kosha, which is the fourth layer, which is the Gyanamaya kosha, or the Vijnayanamaya kosha. This is the intellectual wisdom layer, which is responsible for our discrimination, or you could also say our discernment. It can also be thought of as the intuitive layer, or that gut feeling we talk about. This kosha stabilizes the oscillations of the mind and directs the mind. So think about earlier when we talked about that pendulum swinging wildly from one emotion to the next. This kosha helps to still the mind and helps to focus it so that the mind is not getting caught up and taken on a ride with these emotions and affecting all our different systems of the body, affecting our breathing and our nervous system and our digestive system. When we get to this layer, we're learning how to really still the mind and to direct it. So we can say that this kosha benefits the Manomaya, the previous kosha, the mental emotional sheet. Now this layer also reaches the realm of the unknown, therefore it's more subtle than the previous 3 layers. It's the intelligence of nature, a pre-programmed intelligence which is in every cell, just like we talked about with that apple seed. That apple seed is pre-programmed with this intelligence to grow into this massive tree and bear fruit. And we also have that pre-programming, like our waking sleeping cycle. Who tells us that it's time to go to bed or time to wake up? Just the same with when the animal kingdom, when they hibernate or when they migrate, they don't get a memo, they don't get an email. They just have this knowing. The same in our own bodies, in our monthly cycles, our menopause. That's that intelligence, that inbuilt intelligence. Now, in order to address this kosha, it requires a knowledge of the gunas, or our mental constitution, which we've talked about before, of sattva, rajas, and tamas. So in order to really understand this wisdom, we need to, and to understand the mind, because we know that this kosha stabilizes the oscillations of the mind and directs the mind. So we need the education around the sattva, the rajas, and the tamas, and how they affect our mind, so that we can be aware of when our mind is out of balance. And when we're in, obviously our goal is to get to a sattvic mind, a sattvic body, but we have awareness of, and the education to know that when we're out of balance, when our mind is rajasic, when we're overly competitive, when there may be some greed, some jealousy, some anger, or when it's tamasic, when there's an inertia, when there's a heaviness, when there's a sluggishness, when there is a withdrawal. So by understanding these gunas of sattva, rajas, and tamas, that can help us to understand our mind. And once we see our mind going out of balance, we now have the tools to bring it back into balance with our food, with our dinacharya, with our lifestyle choices. And this is how we affect the nature of the mind. And of course, continuing with our meditation and our pranayama practices to maintain balance, allowing us to access this kosha. So we need to constantly keep up with what we learned in the previous doshas. Keep up with our good dinacharya, our daily routines. Keep up with our good eating patterns for our dosha, and also eating soul foods, seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local. Keep up with our meditation practice, our breath work practice, our yoga, living a good lifestyle, a good routine to help keep us in balance. So this is our job, is to keep ourselves in balance so that we can continue on this journey to our seed potential, to our true self. So now we're going to look at the 5th dosha. So once we go through these layers, and as we continue on this journey to really find our bliss layer, it's called the Anandamaya kosha, which is the 5th and most subtle layer, or our body of consciousness. And like I said, it's also called the bliss layer. It's pure consciousness, it's awareness, it's our true self, our seed potential. And it's at the heart or center of the 5 koshas. It is the most pervasive, and it also controls the 4 other sheets. This is experienced in deep sleep, where there's no ego, there's no attachment, there's no control. It's just a letting go. So obviously this is our desire, is to get to this place where we're not affected by our emotions, we're not affected by the outside world, we're not striving, we're not controlling, but we're just in a bliss state. So in order to get on that path, let me just summarize what our journey is from gross to subtle. So the structure or the physical body we started with, this is what we have to work on first. Understanding our birth constitution, our mind-body type. Understanding the signs of imbalances for our particular mind-body type. How to live, how to eat, how to work, to sleep, to function in this world. That helps to keep our unique mind-body type in balance and thriving. So you would do this by having a consultation with an Ayurvedic expert, so that they can help you really determine your birth constitution. And from there, they'll educate you and they'll give you a good roadmap for how to keep your body and mind in balance. And as a reminder, I provide this online, which I'll put a link in the show notes where you can do a booking for that if you wish. The next area we need to look at is the functions behind the structure. So making sure that all the systems of the body are working efficiently, the nervous system, the digestive system, the circulatory system, excretory system, and the respiratory system. And how do we do this? Well, we do this through the dinacharya, the daily practices, making sure that we eliminate well in the morning, making sure that we're having the right foods and the right liquids to help keep the body well lubricated, and with fiber and with roughage, so that we are eliminating well and making sure that there's no toxic buildup in our body, and also making sure that we regularly get rid of that toxic buildup with regular cleansing. So that's important because we need to get rid of that toxic load from the body so that we can access this state of consciousness, access our intuition and our awareness. If we are full of toxins, if we're continually taking in toxins, which we do on a daily basis, and when it can't be helped, we have environmental toxins, and we have toxins sometimes in our food, and we have a toxic load sometimes from our surroundings or our thoughts. This happens on a daily basis. Our body does its best to detox daily through urine, through sweat, through the feces. However, when the body gets overloaded, when the liver gets overloaded, it stores toxins, both physical and emotional toxins, any undigested emotions in the fat cells. So through those seasonal cleanses, we're pulling out those toxins at a cellular level out of the fat cells and then eliminating them from the body. So this is why it's important to do that regular cleansing that we always talk about, so that we can make sure these systems are working right. Because, like I said, we want to make sure that functions behind the structures of the physical body are efficient. And then, of course, keeping the mind balanced with yoga and practices, meditation and pranayama. And when we keep the mind in balance, then the body will be in balance also. So there's that connection there. We want to make sure that the body and mind are in a sattvic state, a balanced state. And then the final section of this journey is that when the body and mind are in balance and sattvic, then awareness enters. And that when that awareness enters, when we're not concerned by our physical discomfort, whether it's pain or inflammation or IBS or constipation or migraines, whatever it is, whatever aches and pains our body's given us, when we're not concerned with those, when our body's working well, when we're in balance and we're feeling in great health, and then when we have our mind clear with our daily flossing, with our mindfulness practices, then we start to question, what's going on? Who am I? There's awareness starting to enter. What is this all about? What am I here for? So this is where we access that. This is where we start to question. But as I said, if we're consumed with pain and discomfort and caught up in the daily news and in the misery of life and the suffering, our mind can't even go there, because all we're seeing is we're in the pain body, we're in the suffering. So this is what we want to transcend. We want to transcend that suffering by being in great health. And it starts at the physical body. It starts at choosing the right food. You have to be eating right in order to go on this journey. You can't be eating processed junk foods and think that you can access this awareness, this consciousness. If you're serious about this journey, if you want to discover your true potential, your seed potential, well, then it has to start with what you're eating and understanding yourself, and then bringing your practices. And then you'll get to that place of awareness. But I have been there where I was confused with what to eat, and I wasn't healthy, and I was in a rut, as it were, and I was burnt out. And I've talked about my story before. Still on the journey. And also, this is a time when we need everybody to get on this journey, to wake up, to see that we're part of a oneness. The journey from the outer level, Anamaya Kosha, or our physical layer to the most subtle layer and under my kosha, the bliss layer, is our journey of self-realization. And on this journey, there are going to be challenges to help us let go of attachment, to let go of control, to let go of greed and fear and whatever other emotions are hampering us or are holding us back from discovering our true self. And when we discover that we're part of the universal consciousness, our suffering goes away. And we are in touch with our Atma, our soul, our true self, our seed potential, which is immortal. So we know this world is challenging right now. And we need everybody to get on board because we are all just energy. And this energy vibrates. And when we're vibrating at a high level, we're going to cause mass change, but we need each person to do that individually. We need each person to take control of their health, eating the right foods. And then when you're eating the right foods, you're voting with your money about what you want. I don't want that processed food. I'm going to buy this good, organic, fresh food. You start making choices. And then when we start making the right choices, the businesses will follow to provide that because it's the power of the people that we make the decisions of what we want. But we need people to wake up and to realize that, okay, it's time to transcend this suffering. And it's time to move in a more conscious path. And we can do this by starting with yourself, starting on you. And then when you're in health and you're in balance and you're thriving, you'll affect those people around you. And then people will start asking you, what are you doing? What's the change? I get this all the time from my clients, this feedback. They start making changes and people ask them, why are you so happy? What's going on? And that affects other people. So allow yourself to get into balance and to be that beacon, that shining light for those around you. And we all just need to help each other to vibrate at a higher level because we're all responsible for bringing this world into balance and for making changes. We can't sit back now and just, see what happens. We really need to take action. And the action that we need to take is to start with ourselves, bring ourselves into balance, go through these layers, bring in the good practices and make sure that we're in balance. My friend sent me a beautiful post the other day. It's a mantra that she loves. So here it is. I think it's beautiful and it just came to my mind as appropriate to share with you. I sat down with the universe and told her I wanted to grow. I told her to use me as a vessel, so she made me uncomfortable. She stripped me of everything I knew, made me learn how to be silent, how to let go, how to move on, how to stand my ground, how to be more understanding, how to fight, how to survive, how to be more assertive, more loving, less naive. She told me to take everything I have learned and share it with others. It's such a beautiful mantra, and it's essentially the message here is we are going to go through struggles and there's going to be periods of hard times. But when you have the understanding that these struggles are here to help you and assist you. And so rather than going, oh, poor me, you say, okay, this is tough right now, but what's the lesson here? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to stop controlling? What do I need to be more at peace with? What do I need to, emotions are coming up that I need to work through? Use them as teachings to help you progress forward. And I really think we all need to step up now. We can't sit back. There's a lot of things happening in the world to shake us up. So this is my message today through the 3 bodies and the 5 Koshas of Ayurveda is to step up, take good care of yourself, take charge of your own health, be a great example for your family, for your friends, for the people in your community. And then together that we can make a real change, vibrate at a different level, change the vibration of the world and make a real change for our planet and for Mother Nature. Okay, thank you for listening in. I hope you enjoyed this deep delve into the 5 koshas and the 3 bodies. And if you're interested in doing a consultation and starting out in this journey and really understanding your true self and bringing yourself into balance, you can start with a free discovery call with me. and then I can give you guidelines. Or if you want to go ahead and book a online consultation, we can do that online, and I'll have you fill out paperwork, and for 90 minutes I'll take you on a journey to understanding yourself, and I'll give you an Ayurvedic booklet to refer back to, but we'll cover lots of things in the call. And if you want to do cleanses, there's the cleanse information. I'll put that in the show notes too. And we have a seasonal cleanse coming up at the end of September. If you want to do one before, I do offer them privately. And again, I'll put that link in the show notes. But don't forget that you have an opportunity to win a free entry into that group online seasonal cleanse coming up the end of September by entering into my 1-year anniversary competition. Is the 1-year anniversary of the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. All those prizes that I listed earlier, fantastic prizes, 4 in all. You could have an opportunity to win. Head on over to the Elements Healing and Wellbeing website under the Events tab, where you can make your entry as many times as you want. You can also find the link to my website in the show notes. It'll take you directly to the page, and then put your entry in there. And don't forget, if you want to appear on the anniversary episode of the podcast, you could leave a voice recording for me where you can give me your thoughts and feedback and how the show has affected you. I would love to hear from you. Okay, everybody, take good care of yourselves. I look forward to hearing your voicemails and to all those entries for the upcoming competition. Take care. Be well.